Hydro cuts through my neighborhood.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lucky, your host, with Steve.
What's up, guys?
This is our Sunday Fearlessly Authentic show. And tonight we have a special guest, a friend of the show. We have Applejack with us.
Hi, everybody.
Peaches is very excited that you're here.
I was excited for Steve's intro. Hi.
So we were going to have Lady Alex on with us tonight, but she is having a surgery in the morning. So she's going to take a night to rest, and she's going to come back and give her perspective on Rikers Island on a different night. So tonight is going to be all you, sir. So why don't you give everybody a quick background, and then we'll jump into some history and stuff on Rikers Island.
All right. Well, my name is Applejack, CEBappleJack, which is a topic for another time and a pastime. Basically, it's from the hood I'm from. That's where the CEB comes from. And I'm from New York, currently living in Ohio. But I've had some really interesting experiences in my life. One of those was getting a brain.
Oh no, it glitched out.
Oops. Currently, I'm a pseudo journalist on Twitter. You can follow me at.
Oh, it's glitching out a little bit on my end.
It's because I'm on the porch. I apologize. I'm gonna get in this. You can follow me at AppleJack59 on Twitter. So let's begin.
All right.
And hello, everybody. Hello, everybody.
This is going to be a good show. This is going to be great. So while you're, finishing up your boogie on the porch, I'll go into some of the Rikers Island history. I wrote up some information on it as I was doing my research, and it's just to kind of set the mood of what this place is, because, a lot of people have heard of it. They heard it's the Alcatraz of the East Coast, and it has a really sinister background. Just to give a little bit, of anybody that doesn't know all the details, because I learned some things when I was doing my research. So it is currently a 413 acre island. And it's in the East River, and it's in, America's richest metropolis. I can't take. Oh my God, I can't talk. My dyslexia is coming out of my mouth. So it's in New York City. It's between Queens and the Bronx, and it contains their main jail. It's known as the world's largest penal colony, known for the corruption and the pain and suffering. I did.
I know that too well.
Jail stays are supposed to be like shorter than 1 year or less, but there is a large portion of detainees who can't afford cash bail, and so it's caused a bottleneck, and it's overcrowded, and people get stuck there that haven't been charged with anything. So they haven't even been convicted of crimes. So in the 1660s, the Ryken, Rycken family, which was a wealthy Dutch clan, they bought the island when New York was still part of New Amsterdam. So like it goes back pretty far, the history of this. The name Riker comes from the recorder of the New York City. Recorder of New York City. It's basically the city's municipal officer. He was involved with catching slaves, and he received money and kickbacks from kidnappers, and was labeled labeled actually the kidnapping club. He worked with officers to do that. Peaches, stop. The bird is acting a fool. So he took free black men and women and children and deemed them as fugitive slaves so that they could be sent to the South without trial. So in 1884, he died. So that's how they got the name Rikers Island, was from Riker, the man who took people that were free and made them fugitive slaves. And it was men, women, and children. So in 1884, when he died, it was purchased from the city for $180,000. So it was supposed to be a workhouse. And later the city decided, we're a growing city, so let's just make it a men's facility there. So in 1897, the DOC was created. They started construction, and they used a foundation of garbage, landfill, and street dirt. And it was dumped on the island to expand the grounds. So the grounds it was only, I have it in here, 87.5 acres. And it went to being 451. So Rikers Island, it opened in 1932, but they kept adding to the property until 1943. As early as 1939, a Bronx court found Rikers to be unlivable with cramped quarters, declared unhygienic, and with the belief contraband was being smuggled in by the guards, of course. Not even like open 5 years, and it was already being deemed that. Like that, it's just crazy. So by the 1950s, it was at the total of what it is now at 451 acres. It was also used during the Civil War to house Confederate Army soldiers too. In 1964, additional men's unit was built. In 1971, one for women, adolescents. In 72, methadone services they added in 78. And in the late 70s, at some point, they added an LGBT type unit also. So they just kept, they were just like, we're just going to keep expanding and growing this. So its bridge from Queens is known as the Bridge of Pain, if that says anything about it. The infrastructure of the island is crumbling because of how it was constructed. There's air pockets and methane from the landfill. So I saw reports about how it smells really bad, and that's because of the methane and everything from the landfill. And I guess in the summertime it gets really bad. And there's parts where the water seeps up from the floor when it rains in the north and the NIC, the North Infirmary Center, one of the oldest facilities that's there. They have broken showers, flooded bathrooms. COs there at Rikers have forced prisoners to participate in a fight club, and it resulted at least in one death. It's been undercut. CEOs had criminal histories themselves and gang affiliations, and that it all went under the radar. And so there's many ways that they've tried to reform Rikers, but they have failed over and over again. But
the reformation has actually made it worse.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, they're just not. So that's a basic. They got the island, and they never stopped. They just kept adding and adding and adding to the facility. And it's built literally on a trash heap. From it being only 87 acres, and they made it to 451. That's like 4 times the size. 5 probably times the size. You know, like that's
the beauty of my city.
oh, it's lovely. I'm gonna grab a wrench for
Wrench him up.
Wrench alert. Wrench alert.
Wrench alert.
So the judge that I mentioned in that, I have a little article that I wanted to show, and just to gonna give, like, you know, this place is not it's not your normal typical like jail. It's is so much more than that. So it was named after a judge who was eager to uphold slavery, like I mentioned there. So the infamous New York City jail complex, which is set for closure in a decade, bears the name of a 19th century judge who abused the Fugitive Slave Act, shipping free blacks to the South and jailing others for years without hearing or trial. And you can just, I mean, like, just by the image, you can just, you get that feeling of how eerie, you know, it is there. I can't imagine. I can't imagine what it feels like there. And this is from October 26th of 2020. So this isn't even like brand new. So it says, at one point in history, New York City ranked only second to Charleston, South Carolina, and the U.S. cities, and held the most slaves. Now the bustling hub is home to one of the most violent jail complexes in the nation, filled with corruption, misconduct, and violence. Rikers Island is known for its harsh conditions, brutality, and intense violence among both inmates and correctional officers. It is set for closure within the next 10 years. As Mayor Bill de Blasio announced last week, the city will shut down the complex, which houses mostly African American and Latino inmates. Most recently, Rikers has been a topic of discussion due to renewed interest in Caliph, I don't want to say his name wrong, Caliph Brower case, the young man who was held and abused in jail for 3 years without a trial. And considering the atrocities that occurred on the island, it is no surprise that it's deeply rooted in slavery. I mean, it just shows. This just absolutely shows that slavery hasn't ended. It doesn't matter how they like to frame it, how they want to tell you that it's ended. Slavery has not ended. It is continuing. Most of the people there are locked up.
Prison and jail is remnants of slavery anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I mean, it's named after that. And they want, and they're talking about renaming the island. It's like that island. I mean, how much of it is just? It's literally a garbage heap. Imagine how toxic it is to be there.
Yeah.
Imagine, like, you know, it probably smells just as lovely as it sounds when it's hot in the summer, and the trash heap is. You know, I mean, like they get methane pockets that come up, and like, oh gosh,
It takes a long time to compost that material. You know, what are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do with all of that material, all the waste from all the prisoners and the police? You know, for all of those years, you're gonna build another fucking island just out of waste.
It's just
not to mention how much they throw into the ocean.
Right. Jared Brown.
So, you know, it's very well known that that this is you know, part of slavery. It's atrocious that it's even there still. It's atrocious that it's named after a slave owner, somebody that caught slaves and free people and made them slaves. Like,
yeah. Gross.
There's more injuries from the COs and what they've, you know, done. So when we're talking about this tonight, I want everyone to understand how destitute this place is, and the people that are locked up there. So many of them have not even been before a judge. people there for years.
It's like being stuck in the county jail, fucking purgatory, like literally.
Yeah, it's the worst time too because you don't have an out date, so you're just sitting there. You're trying to figure out when are they going to finally sentence me.
Yeah, that bugs people out like so hardcore. That's the worst feeling is when you're in there and you don't know what's gonna happen. If you're already been there and you know, all right, well, I'm going to court in a couple weeks. I'm just gonna fucking kick back, whatever. Then it's not a big deal. It doesn't weigh on you. But if you don't know, that'll make a motherfucker lose their shit.
Well, yeah, and then on top of it, the COs there are completely corrupt, and they're and there's adolescents there. I mean, there's children on that island.
Yeah.
And they've actually just in the last few years, they have made it where they can't put children in solitary confinement. Like that is torture.
They still do. They still do.
Absolutely.
They still do put people in the hole. That's what we called it. We called it the hole when you were in when you're in the whole the solitary.
Yeah,
and
segregation. We call it seg or ad seg or whatever, you know.
It's over there. It's called the SMU, security maintenance unit.
Yeah,
but it's the whole basically.
Sure. I've heard it called different things in different states. Like there's different, nomenclature for it.
So yeah, it's not your typical like jail where you're just, where you're just locked up and it's a very normal place. There is nothing normal about this at all. I'm gonna put the link to the article in here in the chat for you guys if you guys want to check it out.
Definitely. So let's begin with why I was sent there. As most of you would know, I lived a different type of life when I was younger. I came from a hood that was at war with other hoods, and we've been through a lot of situations. One of my situations was that I shot somebody. I shot somebody 6 times. They survived. But it just goes to show with the hatred that happens in New York. It's a really bad issue. I thought I can escape it, so I ran away to Massachusetts. I stayed in Lawrence, Massachusetts for a while until I got caught. They held me in Essex County. They call it Middleton, in Middleton, Massachusetts. Stayed there until they finally transported me. I was there for a long while, probably about a year. Then they finally transported me to Rikers Island. I stayed in Rikers for about 3.5 months before I seen a judge. That was just to get my arraignment. And then I stuck in pretrial, fighting the case the entire time in Rikers until they sent me. And my upstate stints with Elmira and Sing Sing, I think we can speak about that later. But for now, we're going to speak about my pretrial time in Rikers. When you first go in there, you're in a classification unit. They bring you in, you're in a hole with a whole bunch of people, lifers, regular people that they're all just getting ready to get sent into a unit. You see medical, they clear you for general population and stuff like that. You're there for probably 4 or 5 hours just stuck in a holding cell with a bunch of people. It's really, really stuffy. They classify you whether if you're in a gang or not to find out what type of block they're going to send you to. So it's probably smarter to say you are part of a gang, because if they don't know, they'll send you to a block with your opposition and you will get into situations. It's pretty bad. when I was there, when I finally got classified, they sent me to a classification unit where it's not your main home. It's just where you stay on the unit until a bed opens up for your main home. It's called 9 main. Every block is numbered out. Some of them have letters. Like if you're classified as A1, your maximum security, C1 and C2, which are C1 is medium, C2 and M2 are minimum security and stuff like that. Then I have like a N, which is like protective custody, and I was classified as A1 maximum security. But first they put me in 9 main, and each number has 3 different units. You have the main, you have the upper, and you have the lower. When you first get there, they give you your little green cup, which is what you use for everything, for coffee, for drinking water, for whatever it is you're gonna use. That's that cup. Every time you have chow, you better have that cup. You lose your cup, you're not getting enough. So they give you that. They give you a little spoon, which is also for chow. They give you toothpaste, which really sucks. It's like Bob Barker, really trash type toothpaste that honestly gives people toothaches. It doesn't really help. And they give you a little bedspread. As soon as you get to your unit, 9 main for me, which by the way, I went from 9 main to 7 upper and then to 5 lower. And that was my finishing unit. But when you first get there, it's like, I remember I was coming from Massachusetts jail, where everything's like regular. It looks like an updated prison. They have like steel doors and concrete. And then you're coming into Rikers, and it's like an old school jail where you start freaking out, like, where the heck are they taking me? You see bars and old school bricks, and it's like, what the hell? Like, you start freaking out, like, holy crap. But it's basically it's an old jail, so you see like it's not really that updated.
That's exactly the same situation. When I went to jail the first time, it was the same situation. It was Summers Prison in Connecticut, which was like the state prison for, since the 1800s or whatever. It was just this old ass concrete and steel. And you walk in there, and the CEO at the time, Guns N' Roses, had the hit "Welcome to the Jungle," and he says, "Welcome to the jungle, boys." I'm like, oh my God, this is like a nightmare. It's just like the scariest fucking place I could possibly imagine like going to. Besides maybe Rikers or Alcatraz or fucking San Quentin or something,
Yeah, something crazy.
Crazy.
But like when you're first getting there, you're like, holy shit, like where are they sending me?
Yeah.
And just so that you guys understand the definitions, there's prison and then there's jail. Jail is where they house you for not too long. Well, it's not supposed to be too long. If you're free trial, that time doesn't matter. Right. But like if you're sentenced to jail, you'll probably do like 1 year, 2 years, up to like probably 4 years, the max. And if you're going upstate, you're then going to a prison, which is where you're doing a long haul. That's where you'll see a lot of lifers and that's where you'll see like the big penitentiaries. But you don't fight pre-trial cases in a prison. You fight them in a jail. It's supposed to be like temporary housing, but for some people, they stay there for their entire stint. So when you get there, you start the filling out process, figuring everything out. They put you in your cell. I was in C24 from my beginning, from what I can remember. The way that they try to, because you'll have a bunk buddy, basically, a roommate. But the way that they try to give you roommates, they try to keep it race related. If you're Hispanic, they'll try to put you in a cell with another Hispanic. If you're Black, they'll put you in a cell with another Black. Same thing with whites, Asian, whatever. If you get cool with the COs, you'll end up being able to swap out and move in with whoever they want. But when you first get there, the main thing is to keep it race related. Because there's a lot of gangs there, but for the most part, when you're in jail, it's about race. You roll with your kind, and it's really ridiculous. But you get there. I was in maximum security. Maximum security is basically for 6 hours a day. You get to go out on the block, and then the rest of the time you're in your cell. And then medium security is like you're out half the day on the block, you're locked up half the day. And then minimum security is you're basically out all day. Anytime that they do count is when you got to run in your cell and just stand there. They do the count, and then you can go back out with the block. The block is not movement. It's not going around to like the library or going to the yard, which they call the killing field. It's basically you're just on your block and you're stuck there, especially when you're in 7 Main. The whole thing is messed up. They don't have COs out on the block sitting there. Before I was there, I guess they used to have them, but too many situations happened there. So they put them in, we call it the bubble. It's a big room up on the wall where they go in, they enter through another side, and it's a one-way mirror. You can't see into the bubble, but they can see out on you, and they basically sit there all night. If something like a fight happens, they'll come running out, but they'll basically wait for you guys to get your little fight off, because they're not trying to jump into there and get hurt. But at the same time, they'll also jump out and start doing some crazy shit. But I remember when you first go in, it's funny as hell. When you first go in, they lock everybody in, so you're coming out by yourself, and you have your little tote filled with whatever they give you, because you don't have nothing when you first get there. And you go over, and the CO will walk you into the unit, and they'll tell you what cell you're going to. But as soon as you walk into the unit, you could hear everybody banging on the doors. Fresh meat, put them in my cell. Bring them over here. You know what I mean? Like, they basically trying to freak you out. It's a whole psychological game. And this is the way they play it. You just got to ignore it and just go straight to yourself, because the first person that cracks, there's the weak link that everybody's going to jump on. You do learn a lot of things. I've learned how to make taffy, which was pretty cool. I learned how to make homebrew. I've learned how to make a lot of things in the Maine that I was at. We used to have these hot pots. Now they don't do that. Now they have microwaves and these little water spikes that you go and get water, put it in the microwave to heat it up. But when I was first there, we used to have these little see-through hot pots that you connect into your room. You plug it in, and it'll heat up the water. We used to make the taffy that way because they used to sell Jolly Ranchers on the commissary, which is pretty cool. So basically what we do is they gave us non-dairy powdered creamer. And then you could also order like juices, like grape juice, Georgia peach, orange, fruit punch. And basically what you do is you make a mountain with the juice. And on top of that, you put a bunch of the creamer. You grab just a little bit of water, put it onto the creamer, and you just start mixing it around until it becomes a ball of taffy. You cut up the taffy into little like cubes, because the taffy is going to stretch, and that's going to be like the main the main thing that you use to make the pops. And then you can do something like order a Snickers or something like that, cut up the Snickers into tiny little parts, wrap the taffy around it, and then you grab 2 Jolly Ranchers and a glove you can get from the CO or something. You tell them, oh, I'm trying to clean up my room or something like that, you know? And you wrap the Jolly Ranchers in plastic, and you put it inside each finger of the glove, and you leave the finger inside the hot pot while it's getting hot. and it melts the taffy, and you flatten it, and it melts the Jolly Rancher, and you flatten it, and you wrap the Jolly Rancher around the taffy before it gets hot, cooled, before it cools down while it's still hot, and you shove a part of a Q-tip inside there, and there you go, you got lollipops. Start selling that on the block. That was like the main thing.
That's killer.
It was awesome. Yeah, it was awesome. Now we used to, because money in there is stamps. Everything that you do, one stamp is like 50 cents, and a book of stamps in there, it's not like a book of stamps outside where you get 20. It's only 10. So that would be $5, and there you go. You start trading out the books of stamps, and you make your money. That's basically what people use for the poker table as well. Book stamps gets you like 50 chips, and you play on. The poker table in itself is probably something you want to stay away from. That's usually where a lot of the fights happen, because
it's where the sharks swim.
Yeah, people get so freaking pissed. They'll be like, oh, you got to give me a chance to win my money back. You don't want to, like, you win, and then you want to bail from the table, and they don't want you to bail from the table.
Right.
So they'll be like, no, you got to give me a chance to win my money back.
It's like
if you don't give them that chance, we're stepping in the cell and we're getting it on.
Yeah. Every single spades game I ever played in jail ended that way. It seemed like what the fuck?
Yeah. Card games is the number one thing. You really learn a lot from card games. Like that.
The thing I learned, playing 500 rummy with a dude. He was a fucking shark. Dude. He let me win like fucking 10 times or something. I was like, sure, I had it. And he's like, what? You want to play for a couple cents a point, you know, whatever. And he just fucking crushed me out of him like a carton of cigarettes by the end of the fucking thing. We could still smoke back then.
Yeah, like, you can't smoke now, but we get cigarettes in. You get cigarettes in either whenever people go to court, the COs, the bailiffs and stuff in the courthouse, they understand what prisoners are going through. They'll be like, yo, man, I haven't had a cigarette in so long. Can you just pass me out? They'll pass it to you. Yeah. And then you just try to bring it in from there. But the main part is getting them from COs. Like COs on the block, because even though they're in the bubble, every like hour or so, they'll do a round. And they'll come on the block, do a round on the bottom tier, do a round on the top tier, do a round on the third tier, and then head back into the bubble. And every time they do a round, sometimes they'll do cell searches. And they'll go in the cell search, they'll go into your cell. If you're paying them, obviously, they'll like go in with like because all of them do dip. So they'll go in with like a cup, pretending like they're spitting in it. In reality, they got shit in there for you. And they'll just leave the cup on a table and walk right up. And then after they walk out, you go into your cell, make sure everything's set, and then you just grab that, hide it out, put it away. That's basically how everything comes through. Honestly, the main way is through COs.
Well, yeah, that's what I was reading. Was about how they did tests too to see if COs, like how they were getting stuff in, could they get it in, and they said that this one CO had a half a pound of weed, had 50 bags of dope, and all this stuff, and a razor and everything else. And, you know, you have to go through like 4 checkpoints to get into, you know, like into the island, into Rikers, being a CO. And they said that, you know, the metal detector went off, and the guy in the CO was just made excuse like, oh, I already, blah, blah, blah. And they just let him right on through. And they realized like that. I mean, like, that's where the corruption is.
Well,
if they didn't bring it in, then how would you guys get it?
Well, they'd figure out a way. There's a way.
We had it down to a science, because the way that they were doing it was every shift change, the COs that are leaving would pat down the COs that are coming in and make sure they were set. But in reality, they weren't really patting them down. They were just making it look like they were patting it down for the cameras, and then they'll walk off. So the COs are perfect. They even gave them these like book bags that were see-through, and so you can see what contents are in the bag, but you can have like a trash bag inside there and be like, oh, that's my lunch. You know what I mean?
That's wild.
So it's like, yeah, it's it's not hard at all for them. It's
They
wicked easy.
in Connecticut, we had a CEO. I remember a CEO who was a new guy or whatever, and he had just moved from Long Island, and he worked at Rikers, and he came to our little jail, which was like 4 dorms, and the old side of the jail was like old 1800s bricks and fucking steel, you know, like that. But it was a really tiny fucking jail. And he was raging, dude. He was just bringing pounds of weed and all kinds of crazy, like everything, like whatever
The money
drugs
is
anybody
right.
wanted. He's just like taking orders and shit. It was fucking crazy. And he
The
was there for
money is
like 2
real.
weeks, just blowing the fuck up. And then he got transferred somewhere else.
The money is real. And that's the whole thing. If they get caught, they don't get in trouble and get fired. They just get transferred to a different
Yeah.
jail.
It was like he was just ripping and running. He didn't give a fuck who got burnt when he left. You know what I mean? He left people hanging and shit. It was like, you dirty fuck. Somebody's gonna put a cap in you out there in the fucking real world. You keep fucking these people over.
The whole thing about it is like the way you pay them is they would get these green dot Visa credit cards, and they'll give you their number, and then you call your people and you just say a number. See, it's recorded on the line, but nobody knows who the numbers belong to or anything like that. They're prepaid, you know, so there's no actual name attached to it.
Disposable, yeah.
And you just give out the numbers, and your people already know, hey, yo, send this much to this account. And that's it. That's the same thing that we do for stores on the block too.
Mm-hmm.
The way stores work is you'll have somebody that'll order like almost everything on commissary. We called it canteen, but I know people around here call it commissary.
Yep.
They will order everything and have like 5 of everything. And somebody will go over there and be like, hey, yo, let me get a bag of rice or something. They'll be like, oh, I'll give you 2 for $3. If you're not trying to do that, if you're like, you have a levy on your account, because when you first go over there, you got to pay a certain amount for court fees. And until you pay that, you can't get nothing put onto your account. So if you have levies on your account and you can't order nothing, then you have to use a green dot. So people who are listening in on the phone recordings, they can't tell if it's going to another convict or if it's going to a CO. They don't know any of that shit. You know what I mean?
It's just vague, like numbers, and everybody's using the same kind of card, so it fucking be impossible to figure it out.
Yeah, because you can't like have your people put money on somebody else's books, because they can track that. They'll be like, hey, this person comes to visit this person, but she's putting money on this person's books. That person's banned now. They can't come and visit you. They can send money. You know what I mean? So you have to do everything through Green Dot and have your people outside put the Green Dot onto your book.
So that makes a lot of sense why Green Dot has blown up. Because if they're just totally in tandem with fucking, you know, corrections fucking facilities across the fucking country, they just like invented that shit. Like hedge funds were like, I know, let's make a fucking card that all the convicts use, since we got fucking, you know, 3/4 of the fucking men in jail. Let's go.
Well, that's the same company that Walmart's cards. If you get a prepaid Walmart card, that's a Green Dot card.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It just like exploded and it became very prevalent really quickly.
Yeah, and the thing is jail is a money maker. Like, it's a crazy money maker. Like, Suboxone, we call them Sobos. That's that's the heroin in prison. That's the #1 drug that everybody's trying to get their hands on, because you can get these little strips, and those little strips are you can like fold them down to, like, we call them 83rds, and that's 1/83rd of a whole strip. And those things right there will sell for like $20. If you got a whole strip in itself and somebody's trying to buy a strip, they'll buy a strip for like $300, $400.
That's
and
fucking
in the streets,
wild.
You're getting a whole script of them, of like 400, 500 strips for like pennies on the dollar, like not even a whole $10 off. You just have your people go to a hospital, speak to a doctor and tell the doctor, hey, I'm sick from doing heroin. I need to get off it. I need help. And they'll write you a script for Suboxone. And boom, now you got money. Now you send that in. You send that into your people that are locked up in jail, and they'll flip that for some crazy bread. It's ridiculous.
That's
And,
wild. That I had no idea it like blew up like that, because I remember when that was first starting to happen, like people were freaking out for it. That's wild.
Yeah, John Kemper said the COs sound like they are the criminals in prison. Absolutely.
Yeah, usually.
When I was doing research on Rikers, I was finding that they said that most of the COs had they had gang affiliation and they had criminal records and backgrounds, but they just
my daughter, my oldest daughter is a CO in New York now, in the correction system. I'm not sure where she works, but I know that's what her new gig. So I don't want to say too much horrible things about cops in jail, but
the whole thing is like I know Barubi, he's a state police, but he's from my hood. Like we fuck with him and everything. He's pretty cool. And he told me that people that he works with, state cops and all of that, they look at COs like they might as well be criminals. Like they don't look at them as, oh, these are my fellow cops.
Yeah, they're not
the same.
Yeah, they're not on the same level as them. Like they definitely have. There's a hierarchy, and they are not it.
I think that's true in pretty much all forms of law enforcement, right down to your fucking PO and all of them. They all have a fucking head trip. Like they're fucking large and in charge. Every one of them I've ever fucking met. I don't expect my daughter as much different from the
definitely
few encounters I've had in her adult life.
Definitely. Well, the way in the hierarchy, the way that they look at COs is like that's the bottom of the. Like they get no respect. Yeah, they get no respect in law enforcement, and there's certain ones, because there's certain COs that got the star, threaded onto their clothes, and those are actual state troopers that also do their service time, which counts to a lot of their taxes at the end of the year. They'll do that as and it's also like community service for them. They'll do time as prison COs as well, but they're not really getting paid by the prison. They're getting paid by the state, by the police department. It's wild.
Yeah, the department. That's trippy, and there's like that. There's a weird, like really structured hierarchy, especially in like New York City and that type of thing. Like how there are so many different departments, and you know what I mean. Like there's some crazy like competition shit going on as well. Like, so I can imagine the COs are probably not exactly held in the highest esteem.
And then another moneymaker in this, cigarettes. You'll get one Newport short, one king, and that literally, you get that to a convict. He'll bust that down. He'll cut it out, take out all the tobacco. He'll grab the commissary paper, because it's like Bible paper. And he'll mix that and cut it with the guts of a tea bag, the inside guts of a tea bag, and they'll roll up little tiny cigarettes. One small regular square would make probably like 10 to 20 cigarettes, and then they'll sell one cigarette for $10. And then you just
that's how they sold. That's how they sold weed in jail when I was in jail. They were just
we do that
tiny
with
little
the tea guts.
tiny joints.
But that little, it's like less than a 0.1. But that little 0.1 will get you so fucked up.
Dude, you get fucking rich. If you haven't smoked in a few months and you hit that fucking green bud, you'll be like, bam.
Retarded. Yeah, you're sitting back like, holy shit. Yeah, you sitting back like, holy shit, you're in a different world.
Yeah.
And that's like, they'll sell a gram for like $300, you know?
Yeah.
And that's something you're buying for like $10-15 on the street, and you're turning that into $300. It's a come up. So a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll grab balloons, they'll fill up balloons, they'll swallow it, and they'll get a petty charge and just
Yep.
go into jail, shit it out, and
Yep.
start selling it, and then get out, and
Yep.
then just re-up again and just keep doing that back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah.
And that's how they make their money.
What a hustle.
Yeah, a serious hustle. It's crazy. I've seen some wild shit. I was hanging out with my people from my hood and shit, but they were obviously going into their own bullshit or whatever. I got sent to the hole a few times. We got into a fight in the chow hall, which is probably not the smartest thing to do, because if the cops don't like you or the COs, they'll charge you with inciting a riot if you get into a fight in the chow hall. Because you can be fighting one-on-one with somebody and then bump into another person, and then the whole chow hall starts fighting.
Yep.
Now, what years were you at Rikers?
I got picked up in Massachusetts. I got arrested in Massachusetts in 2010, and then the middle of 2011, I got transported to Rikers, and I was in Rikers from 2011 to 2013, the beginning of 2013, and then I got a sentence and went upstate, and then I went upstate until 2017, and that's when I got out.
So were you a witness to some of the brutality from the COs and, like them beating people and
so what they used to do,
doing Fight Club?
What they used to do, right, is say if you were, like, they'll bring you to the hole, and the hole is just like another block, but you're by yourself in a cell. You never leave that cell except for 45 minutes to go take a shower, and that's once every 3 days. And they'll bring, like, you have like these little trap doors on your cell door, and that's how they'll bring you your food. Or if it's your time in the week to use the phone, which you only get to use twice a week, they'll bring it. They have like this movable phone, and they'll bring the phone to your door, and you got to stick your hand out the trap door, grab the phone, and just like sit next to the door and talk. But if they really if they don't like you, if you're a problem, you're constantly flooding your cell by shoving toilet paper or whatever you can get into the toilets, and start flushing it until it floods over. Or if you're yelling at the CO, banging on the door all the time, they'll get the turtle squad after you. And that's these guys all caught up in suits. And what they used to do, I seen this personally. I seen this dude, Jack, right? That's his nickname, Jack. That's not his real name. And it was Jack because he was big, cock D's and everything. But he got into a fight with one of the COs. And the CO opened the door to get up in his face, like, yo, you know what the hell I'll do? They don't open the cell door unless there's like 2 other COs with them. Opens the cell door, gets up in his face or whatever, and the dude Jack spits in the CO's face. So they close the door. Okay, I got you. Walk off. They come back with a whole squad suited up and everything, and they open the cell. They grab them. They bring them to a different cell. You see these other COs running in, and they're bringing in cameras, and like they're looking. They try to seal up the windows by putting like toilet paper on the outside of the windows so people can't see. But because of the wind in there, the toilet paper always like flies out a little bit, so you can see like through onto the block, and you'll see all the COs like going into this one cell, an empty cell that they brought that dude Jack with. And you can hear him screaming. They're beating the crap out of this dude and recording it. And they'll literally like watch it back and start laughing about it. Then the next day they'll come around and the COs doing walk arounds to talk about, oh yeah, we beat the shit. I seen even COs that weren't working there. They're like, oh, I seen the video. They beat the shit out of the dude and blah, blah, blah. Like they'll laugh about it in your face. And they'll be like, oh, you could be the next one. Keep playing games. I've seen COs bringing in a dude from a fight, and when they're bringing you in, you're cuffed up, and they'll bring you to your cell, and then that trap door where you get your food in after they close the door, that's how they'll unlock the cuffs, But instead of bringing him to the door, I see them slamming him into the wall and be like, oh, sorry, you got to watch out. They'll bash him into the door. You got to get into the cell, and the door's closed. He can't even get in there. They'll smack him right in front of everybody so that you understand this is what can happen to you. Don't play games with the cops.
They set an example. Yeah.
Yeah, BIP, my homie, beat Peanut, but he died from drinking too much of the homebrew, and he got cirrhosis of the liver. But he stabbed a cop in the neck, and the cop survived. They beat the shit out of him. They literally beat him to the point where his whole front set of teeth was kicked in, and they didn't send him to no dentist or anything, so he came back with like missing teeth. Like it was fucked up, and they left him in the hole for a good maybe a year and a half before we seen him again. It was crazy, and they'll literally leave you there. Literally leave you there. It's so fucked up. I've seen some crazy shit. I seen I remember one time a guy called in a CO into his cell to fight, and the CO actually stepped in there, and they started fighting, and then the CO starts running out, help, calling on his radio. A fuckload of COs came onto the block, and they don't have time to tell us to lock in, so we're still out on the block, like moving back and shit, like, oh shit, what's going on? And they literally were taking this guy and bashing his head into the wall. And these are concrete walls. Like, you punch the wall and you'll break your hand. And they're smashing this guy's head into the wall. Like, they will really protect their own. And the way they'll do it is on some fucked up shit. And it's wild. If they don't like you, they're going to constantly be doing cell checks. I know a few people that cops will go in there, drop Suboxone inside their cell and be like, hey, look what I found. And then, oh, you're going to the hole. Or they'll drop a cell phone. Look what I found, which cell phone is a, oh man, let me tell you about pepper spray. Oh my God. First off, the showers don't even take out the pepper spray. That shit sucks. And they don't even use the sprays. They have these like little pepper grenades that they throw in your cell and close your cell. And it'll blow up. Yeah. And there was these two guys in their cell, and they were flushing. Well, basically what happened was a fight happened on the block. And when a fight happens, they lock everybody in for a couple days. They'll call in the gang unit, which is called CIP or SID, one of those two. And they'll call in the gang unit to do an investigation to figure out what happened within the fight. But while that's happening, everybody's locked in their cell. Nobody can come out for their regular cell time. So you're basically in there for the rest of the day. No showers, none of that. They give you your food by cops walking around on chow time and passing out the food. Well, there was these two guys that was sick of being locked in. So what they did was they grabbed their shirts, started wrapping around their head, wrapped on their face, on the top, try to put it so that they can easily push down for their eyes. And they started throwing shit inside the toilet, flushing it, started flooding their cell until the cops came in. The cops were telling them to calm down through the door. They're over there swearing at them, oh, fuck you, come in here, I'm gonna take care of you, you already know, talking all this crazy shit, right? So the cops was like, all right, I got you. So they went and they got the turtle squad. Well, the turtle squad came in with their little shields, their pepper balls, and they started throwing the pepper balls into the cell. The cell blows up. These guys are like trying to hide it, trying to shield themselves from the pepper balls. As soon as the pepper balls blow up, they open the cell, start rushing in to beat the crap out of these guys. And these guys are trying to fight back, but they're all fucked up. Right. It was getting so bad. They threw so many pepper balls that us in the block, and we're locked in our own cell. Everybody in the block started coughing. We can feel it in our face. It felt like our skin was melting. It just hurt to breathe. It was the worst, and it stays on you forever. Yeah. I'm lucky that my experience with pepper spray in itself was very minimal. It was just from other people getting it, and they used so much that I felt it. But whenever I was in a situation, once the cops came in with the dogs, that's it. The fight's over. You get on the floor, you put your hands behind your back, let them cuff you, take you, because you start resisting against them, they're gonna beat the shit out of you. And that's basically what I seen with peppers. Oh, I seen one time a cop just throw it on the block like a dickhead, and everybody got it. Everybody got hit with it. But
It's insane. And then they treat people as less than human. You're locked away in this facility that is like the infrastructure is crumbling, and then they blame weapons, homemade weapons coming out of Rikers. They blame it on the inmates that are locked into this situation, that have no control over anything that's happening. And they wonder why people they go crazy and they act out the way that they do. I mean, you put any person in that kind of situation and you're putting them into torture. It's torture. I can't imagine what it would be like there.
you're not a human. You're not a human, and you're a number. Like my number was W10 20 2659. I'll never forget that. I'll always remember my number. But that's who you are. That's what you get called out as. That's when you have a mail. That's how they know who to give it to, is through your number. They'll punch it into the computer and be like, "Oh, he's in cell C26 or whatever." And you just go over there and they pass the mail through the bottom slit of the door. That's just how it is. You know, you get when I was in 9 Main, you get like no movement whatsoever. And then eventually I was in 9 Main for like 3-4 months. Eventually they'll classify you to an actual housing unit. I went to 7 upper and then 5 lower. A 7 upper first was that's where I first started to actually experience the jail, learn a lot about it. You can actually order TV time. It's not like prison where you can order a TV and have it in your cell and watch it, but you can put in money for TV time. Eventually, they changed a lot of the policies. They had a few lawsuits where they had to allow us to actually watch TV regularly when we're on our block time. But when I first got there, you had to order slots. And if you didn't have money, you wasn't watching TV. And the only TV you're watching is like the news or TMZ or something like that. Everybody in the morning.
So you're getting propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Like,
everything in the. I remember like when I was locked up, they were having the Boston Marathon bombing, like the Johar and everything. That was like everybody was watching that. Like that was the O.J. Simpson car chase or something. Every day that was on the news. Every day we were watching, and it's on a loop. You only hear 30 minutes of the same shit, but we're watching that same 30-minute loop for like 3, 4, 5 hours. You know, it's crazy.
That is crazy.
I can imagine, and then the politics inside of there just must be absolutely.
Oh yeah,
insane.
that's a whole different ball game. I'm just talking about the COs right now. But the politics
there's so much politics and so much racism and so much fucking crazy like do or die motherfuckers in there that everything is just like they're a bunch of drama queens too, half of them. It's fucking nutty. It's just a nutty place to be. And if you can do it like if you can do it okay and not get caught up in other people's bullshit and just do your fucking time, it could be a pretty good learning experience. You can learn whatever you want to apply yourself to. You know what I mean? You have time to fucking read. It's like you can do a lot of stuff for yourself in there if you're allowed to, as long as you're not caught up in all the other dramatic fucking goings on.
Yeah, you can see you can tell when it's like when it gets very tense over there. Like if something's gonna pop off, you can just feel it in the air. And
Yeah, like it
you'll
gets
see,
thick before it happens.
Yeah, there's a lot of
yeah,
energy because you got to think about all of these personalities. A lot of them are fucking like big personalities. So you have, you know what I mean? All of those people, if they're all aggravated about the same thing together, that's just gonna spell like some fucking serious drama is gonna unfold, like inevitably. You know what I mean? And you definitely, it's palpable. You can sense it when people are fucking mad.
it's
Yeah.
like you'll see all the white guys standing on one side, all the blacks on the other side, all the Hispanics on the other side, and everybody's just sitting with themselves. And they're like, okay, we're gonna see if what's gonna pop off. And then sometimes somebody will go into your ear and say, hey, this is what's going on. Sometimes you don't know what's going on. You just gotta stand with your people.
Yeah.
You know something crazy is about to happen.
Fully.
And then it's like then it breaks down into like little gangs or whatever. And like one of my brim homies, SI, he was a white boy. The whites disowned him because he's like, oh, you're in a black gang, you're with the blacks, consider yourself a black. So he had to just chill with us because not all the blacks accepted him. Only the brims, only the homies did. So it
And
was
that's
like,
like really sad about is that is complete, the racism is completely reinforced in prison.
oh
It's
yeah, that's
completely
how it has to be.
reinforced.
That's how it has to be, And like for me in itself, I had to stick with a lot of the blacks because I'm black and Hispanic, but I'm in a black gang and I chill with a lot of black people. So the Hispanics will look at me like, oh, he's not even Hispanic, he's black.
Right.
So that was my position. I had to stay with all the black people, And
And you just hope that you chose the right team,
yeah,
like
yeah.
fuck, man.
Well, I mainly chill with a lot of the homies because the homies always have my back. Because sometimes the blacks that are there, they'll look at you weird because oh yeah, he's black, but he's also Hispanic. He got that good hair. He's light skinned. Oh nah, he's basically a spit, so to say. So they don't really rock with me. But I chill with my homies, and my homies would be like, they don't care if I'm white, Hispanic blood. They just know me as Brit. They'll be
Right.
like, oh yeah, he the homie. So they always gonna have my back, and we eat together, we work out together, and we chill together. Like that's just how it is. We had our own table. We had our own time on the poker table where it's just Brins in there playing, which is kind of cool because then it doesn't break out into a fight.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. If you have a way that you can do it, like you got your homies with you, so you're fucking straight. I made friends with dudes that like each dude in my cube was from three different cliques that were in the place. You know what I mean? But they were all down together, so it didn't matter. Everybody was like all the same people, and it didn't matter that I was like the only white guy out of all the black guys that were on our fucking in the dorm with me. But they were like, you're down. It's all good. They even kind of fake beat me down to get me down. You know what I'm saying? To fuck with me and shit, to make sure I'm down with the family and shit. And it was like almost comical. You know what I mean? Like nobody really fucking hurt you or nothing. It was just like, I felt like safe.
Like,
and I did my time and it was straight.
Sometimes there'll be an issue between the homies, and you guys go into the cell, wrestle it out, tussle a little bit,
Yeah.
And it's not really fighting to hurt somebody. That's when it's like when you're going up against the ops, then you're fighting to hurt somebody. Yeah. But you had everything. It was like a different breakdown, and it was like you break down from race, and if that didn't suit you, you break down from gang, and if that didn't suit you, you broke down from religion, especially the Muslims. Because the Muslims had each other's backs. Like they would fight other gang. Like they say you were a Crip and this blood wants to get at you, but you took the Shahada, you're not a Crip anymore because you can't serve two masters. Right. You're either with the gang or you're with Allah. Yep. And once you take the Shahada, they'll be like, oh no, this ain't a blood Crip issue anymore. This is he's Muslim, and if you got an issue with him, you got an issue with all the Muslims. And like they really held you down. And then you had like the Native Americans, they held each other down. But the issue that they had, they didn't really get into a lot of fights, but the issues that they had is they had a lot of light skinned Native Americans that would rock with them, and then the whites would be like, "Nah, we ain't fucking with them because you're not a white boy, you a Native American, you know." And then if there was an issue, say like if I had an issue with a black person, then I can fight that person. But if I had an issue with a white person, then I got to get all my blacks and we got to go talk to whoever's running the whites. Right. And depending on what gang within the whites, because the whites will beef with themselves. They had like the Aryan Brotherhood, the crazy white boys, the dirty white boys, the C-dubs, they had their own cliques that they fought with.
So there's like all these like tribes within within the races, and then like I mean like it's like there's
a complex web of fucking people and society going on. It's intense, man. It's concentrated in prison. It's different.
It's like you got America and then you got the Democrats and the Republicans. But say if a Republican wanted to fight a Democrat, the whole Republican team would have to go to the whole of the Democrats and be like, hey, listen, there's this issue. You guys can handle it or we're going to handle it.
Right.
And then you guys would politic between that. That's how it was. But like, if I had an issue with a white guy or if I had an issue with a Hispanic guy, we would have to go to the whole of the Hispanics and be like, hey, listen, this dude got this issue with this. We could either fight it out, let it be, or you guys could handle the situation and make sure that he's satisfied. You know, for the most part, they would try to have it like whites with whites, blacks with blacks, Hispanics with Hispanics, Asians with Asians. They for the most part, they try to have it like that. So they'll be like, oh, well, what's the issue? Okay. He's in the wrong. My guy's in the wrong. I'm gonna have my people fight with him in the cell.
Yep.
Instead of
that's how they did it when I was down too. That's exactly the same thing, and it's really weird how it's always about racial lines. Like that's how it gets handled in jail. That's just the fucking way it is. Like there is no other means other than the fact, like you were saying, like sometimes religion sometimes can be another subdivision of it, but like it's not always like that, and that's wild how it's such a fucking affirmation of divide. Like, you know what I mean? Like when the man throws you in jail, he wants to make sure that you fucking still are going to come out hating your fucking brother that's another color. Like that's just the fucking, the lines are drawn and don't fucking veer from them because you'll die.
And they're reinforced. Like
that's what I mean. It's just reinforced constantly. It reinforced at every single turn in jail. Like there's a lot of diplomacy that goes on. You know what I mean? People are fucking pretty chill sometimes, you know, and can work stuff out. Yeah. You know, being diplomatic is a strong trait to have. You know what I mean? I think that's people respect that as well. But sometimes it's like it's beyond that, and people throw down, and that's the way it is. But it's just like in real life. But it's so weird how that affirmation is just in place as soon as you walk in the door of that fucking jail or that prison. You can't be like hippy dippy Steve over here that loves everybody. You know what I mean? You better fucking make up your mind.
John Kemper said. He said, pitting humans by color. If they only knew they were one race.
Yeah, if only they knew. I argue that every day. I'm like, it's the human race.
Yeah, but Steve, you're not my brother because you're privileged.
Yeah, I know. If only that privilege wasn't in place there. Damn it. Son of
a... but yeah, like for the most part, like whites would deal with blacks would deal with Hispanics. We would deal with each other. We just wouldn't chill with each other. Like right. You couldn't, if you sat down, you weren't sitting. If I wasn't sitting down at a white table talking to white people, chilling out and everything, I was sitting down with my homie, and my homies were sitting down on the black side of the childhood, you know? And and then that's how it is. It's corners. You each got your own corner. Yep. And
it's like a
depending
compass.
on your gang, like if you were a Latin king, your gang table was within the Hispanics. There was some white Latin kings, but they weren't considered white people.
Right.
The whites disowned them, so they had to sit with the Hispanics.
So it really didn't boil down to necessarily just your race. There was other factors that like trumped whether it was your race or if it was these other factors that nope, there's a hierarchy of
Yeah, well,
how you're segregated, right?
the whole thing about like the race was for normal people. That's the first tier. Race is the first tier. If you're like a regular person from the streets and you don't got a gang that you roll with, you don't even know what's going on. You're just going to prison. You're going to jail for whatever reason. Once you get over there, the first person that's gonna hook you up with shower shoes and make sure you got shampoo, like can't commissary shit instead of that crap that they give you in jail, that Bob Barker shit.
Yep.
It's gonna go by your race. Once they find out, oh, you're part of a gang, well, what gang is it? What do you? And then they find out, like, say I'm a white guy and I fuck with the Bloods. They're gonna be like, oh, well, that's a black gang. Are you with the Bloods or are you with us? You got to make your decision. And once you make that decision, oh, I'm staying with my race, then don't come with that blood shit. You can say hi to them if you want, walking by in the hallway, say what's up and everything. But when you sit, if an issue happens, and say like something's happening with the Bloods, you're not jumping in that. You're staying with my white people because those are the ones that are gonna have your back. They're the ones that are gonna feed you if you need to be fed and everything. Like there'll be people that are broke, they don't make no money, they don't got no hustle, but they'll eat every night because the homies is cooking.
Right.
So the homies will make sure that there's enough food for everybody that's within that little group.
That's just the real tribe. That's what that is. You know what I mean? That's fundamental. That's like we're primal in that way, man. We're gonna look out for who's around us and who will look out for us, and that's how the fuck it goes.
Yeah, definitely. And then because you got to realize like there's the issue with the COs, but the COs aren't on the block all day. That's not who you got to deal with all day.
Right.
You're not locked up with those people, you know?
Mhm.
And like, say if you're a white boy and you're a blood and you choose to be with the Bloods, they're going to put you in a cell with another white boy. You got to put in the work to make sure they take you out that cell and put you in a cell with one of your homies.
Right.
You know, and that's just the fact of it. That's just how it is. You got to make sure that you're up with the politics.
And and like I can't imagine like first going there and then being overwhelmed and being in this new environment and then being in the conditions that Rikers Island is. I mean, they literally describe it as hell, a hellscape. And then you have to understand all these politics on top of it. I mean, I can't imagine going through that with COVID and the lockdowns and the way that they, you know what I mean? Like that is just insane. I would love to talk to somebody that's that was there during that.
Oh, I know people that was in there for like COVID was even worse because they kept you on the block. They just locked you down. You would never coming out of your cell.
Yeah, I had somebody that was
every day.
Not in Rikers, but in prison, and I was advocating during COVID to try to get them out and released early, and it's like talking to a brick wall. It really is. It was advocating for them to get basic medical care.
It was even worse because you'd be locked down, but if they tested you and you were sick or whatever, and they tested you and you did have COVID, they weren't taking you and your bunkie out. They'll test him too. If he didn't have COVID, they'll leave him in that cell, give him a bunch of cleaning stuff and say, hey, clean your cell. And then they'll take that person and bring him to a empty cell in the infirmary. And they call it the HSU. And they'll leave you in a cell for 10 to 14 days by yourself, and they'll just feed you. Oh no, it takes 10 to 14 days for you to lose COVID. So you're quarantined, you're under quarantine, and it's even worse because now you don't got no TV, you don't got no entertainment, and then you don't have nobody to talk to. So you're basically in the hole. Only this time you can't go to your door and start screaming out, because in the box, that's how you'll talk to people. You'll scream through the doors, and everybody's in everybody's conversation. In the infirmaries, you don't have that. There's a whole bunch of other people for you to scream out the doors. So you better hope if they like you enough to toss you a book or something to take up your time. But if not, you're just there thinking, talking to yourself, walking around the cell.
Introspective
And then I
hell.
can't imagine being sick on top of that.
Oh yeah,
know,
being
like,
dope sick and fucking oh my god,
Not
or
dope
just
sick.
any sick.
I'm
any
talking
sick.
about COVID.
I think of
COVID
dope
sick.
sick immediately because it just triggers me. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh god, that would suck.
Well, that would suck
That's-
too. Yeah, of course. But yeah, and just being sick and just not feeling well, and going through that, and then everything. Not to get too far into COVID because we know what happens.
Right.
But to be dealing with that, on top of it, and everything that you're hearing, and the limited amount of information and the filtered information that you're getting, because you're only getting mainstream news propaganda. That's all you're hearing. So you're not getting any alternative,
Independent
information.
news, nothing. There's only what the state tells you. And that's the fact.
Yep.
You know how many I was talking to my boy locked up, and he just like, all these fucking Russians doing all this crazy shit. And I'm like, bro, you're not even hip to what's going on. Oh, but Ukraine, they were just chilling out there. They were staying. Yo, bro, you don't even know what's going on in Ukraine. Because all you hear is what's on the news.
Yeah, I had a friend that was in there during the COVID, in a Connecticut prison though, and it was crazy. I mean, and someone listening to the phone conversation must have thought I was the craziest person ever. Like explaining things and trying to in a quick phone calls, try to explain everything that's really happening. It's so overwhelming. It's so much information.
Yeah, COVID is crazy. Even with the vaccines, they'll come in twice a month to give everybody a vaccine, but you get a choice. You can sign yourself up or not get the shot, but it's just a veneer of choice. Because if you don't get the shot, you can't get visits. You can't go out to the chow hole by yourself. You have to eat in your cell. You can't go and do regular movement. You're stuck on your block. Like they'll just, oh yeah, you get to choose. But then if you choose
love
not
illusion
to,
of choice.
Yeah.
If
They
you choose
love
not
illusion.
This
we're
country
gonna
loves
make your
the
life a
illusion of
love and
choice.
hell.
Yeah,
Yep.
this country was built on the illusion of choice.
Yeah, man. It's worked so far, right?
That is what the United States has been built on, the illusion of choice. They make you feel like you have freedom.
In jail, they don't update their information. They'll still sit there and tell you, like, oh yeah, you get the shot, you can't get COVID. You get the shot, you're a dead end. You're a dead end for the virus, and you can't pass it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like
water.
Yeah, like, bro, what are you talking about? That
is nuts. Yeah, you can not get the shot, but then you can't do anything. You got to stay in your cell. And then if you do get the shot and it makes you sick, well, too fucking bad. And if you do get the shot and then you get COVID the next week, like most people did, you just too fucking bad. You're gonna have to get another shot if you want to. You're gonna have to take another.
That's what it is. They'll be like, oh, well, you didn't get your boosters.
Fuck. Just the
and
never,
then people.
ever.
I remember talking to my big homie. He's in the feds, and I'm talking to my big homie. And he's like, damn, bro, this is fucked up. I'm hearing CVS is giving people $50 to take the shot, and we getting it for free. Like we can't charge them. We can't get no money on. And I'm like, bro, you don't even want to get that shot, bro. Trust me, you don't even want to get that shot, bro. I mean, if you really, if that's what you're gonna do, I ain't gonna stop you. But shit, I ain't getting the shot.
Yeah,
I got the shot once, and that was because of my job.
Right.
And that was it, And my job came in with the boosters bullshit, but it was not mandatory because the shot, it was either you take the shot or you're out of a job. But when it came with the boosters, they were already with the politics that they can't kick you out of the job or whatever. So they were just like, hey, we suggest you get a booster. I ain't getting no damn booster.
Yeah, suggest this, motherfucker. Yeah.
Yeah, get out of here. You mean I don't have to get the booster? If I don't have to, then I'm good.
Yep. And that is the best position you could hope for at this point. I mean, so many people didn't even have that. So many people like, oh
Okay,
no, you got to
should-
get yours now.
We should move on from
Let's
that
get
part
about-
of
Yeah.
that because we're
But
gonna go down a hole, and
they're
then we're gonna be
so
like, we can't talk about this
But
anymore.
I
they're
just
so
want to
safe
say
and
for
effective.
YouTube, I just want to say for YouTube, the shot does help. It does prevent, you know,
Spread
getting
transmission and safe
hospitalized.
and effective.
Yeah.
It's safe and effective as per Pfizer tells you.
Yes,
As far as you know.
because they're trustworthy.
Yes,
Because why would
they're-
we doubt Pfizer?
Because in 2009 they weren't charged as criminals.
Right.
Yes, I just know that the
Never
YouTube
happened.
police is watching.
I don't even want to get into the specifics of the dates with them people because it goes way back, man.
I
It
just
goes
know
back
that
to when
the
I was a
YouTube
teenager
police.
and shit. Like what the
I just
fuck?
know that the YouTube police is watching, so they're safe and effective.
Yes,
That's right.
that's what we're saying.
Safe
We are
and
saying
or effective.
follow the CDC's guidelines.
Please, everyone, don't take our word
Shout-
for it.
Yeah, shout out
Take
to
a
my
government
man, Ricky
agency.
Rand.
They'll tell you what to do.
Don't
you don't
do-
have to think.
Don't do research or anything.
Don't research. Just let
Don't
the,
talk to us outside of YouTube about it either.
Yeah, and you know,
Don't look at my Twitter and everything I post on there about
don't
it.
ever read any of my comments ever. Please.
I mean, I gotta watch out for what I post on Twitter too, because apparently Elon not liking me right now.
Yeah. See, there's so many avenues where they can just say, hey, you know what? You can't say that.
So
No,
there,
Elon is a
you,
god of a
Steve.
man.
No, you, Steve, you gotta watch it because you're posting shit that I was posting about how it's a scam, and I got fucking permabanned.
okay, we're gonna move on from this topic because we are on thin ice.
I hear something cracking.
So did you experience any of like the Fight Club or anything like that happened?
I didn't see it. I used to hear stories about it like happening before I got in there, but I didn't personally see it. It was mainly like fights that was happening for issues on the street. You know, the COs would put bets, like they'll be like, oh, because like the COs would know, because like when you go to the hole, they don't bring you back to your cell. They bring you to a new block after you get out of the hole.
Right.
And the COs would know, oh, this person has problems with these people, or this gang has a problem with this gang. So when you go to the box, they'll set you up to go to one of the blocks that has your enemy. And then they'll put on, they'll make bets, and they'll be like, oh, I bet you this dude will fuck this dude up. Let's put money on it. This and that. I used to hear stories from the COs about that shit all the time. But I personally didn't see like a Fight Club shit. I did hear stories about it, but I didn't personally witness that.
That's wild.
That's really crazy.
Yeah.
So I have a clip that I want to play and show you guys about Rikers and the COs and what's been happening there. This is like a year old, but these stories are just they have been happening. It's like it just the years change and the people change and the same things
Same stories.
Well, I mean, just the COs just acting a fool and acting crazy and, you know, just doing all kinds of things. So I want to mute us up real quick and play this clip.
Okay.
Julio.
State lawmakers questioned de Blasio administration officials today about the crisis on Rikers Island. This after many of them toured the facility and witnessed the deteriorating conditions. In light of all the progress being touted, CBS 2's Andrea Klein-Thomas introduces us now to a detainee who shares his experiences behind the walls.
39-year-old Melvin Collins has been on Rikers Island for 3 years, awaiting trial on felony burglary charges. We spoke to him by phone. Tell me about the violence.
The officers' lives are in jeopardy. It's true. And the inmates' lives are in jeopardy, too. You have so many violent people coming into jail because of what they're getting picked up off of the streets in order to protect yourself. People have weapons.
You hear the desperation in his voice. Collins is on suicide watch.
I'm not a violent person. I've gotten jumped. I've gotten sexually assaulted. I've gotten stabbed in my face to the point where I had 13 stitches in my face.
Friday, Mayor de Blasio's administration outlined progress being made in front of the state assembly's correction committee while calling on the courts to take up more cases.
Rikers Island is not a prison, but is being asked to function as one.
400 detainees have left the city jail in the last 2 weeks between the transfer of inmates to state facilities and the release of nonviolent parolees. Add to that addressing overcrowding, upgrading facilities, and increasing access to programming. Still, every day, thousands of correction officers are not coming to work, a shortage the commissioner said is contributing to an alarming rise in suicides.
But I would say it's a mix of our inability to be staffed the way we should be and some natural cause deaths.
This hurts so bad to know that young people are dying in our system when they should be getting help.
Advocates held a rally and blocked traffic to send a message to district attorneys and judges to stop sending people to Rikers Island while knowing the dangerous conditions. Meantime, behind the walls, Melvin Collins calls his aunt. Both are unsure what will happen day to day.
I'm trying out here. I know you are, and I'm trying to get home to you in one piece alive. I'm trying to get home in one piece alive. I'm so scared for my life.
Scared for his life. That's a sentiment that's been relayed to us numerous times. Violence still remains the central area of concern. The Bronx District Attorney's Office that oversees Rikers still has more than 300 open cases for violent incidents this year alone. Andrea Klein-Thomas, CBS 2 News.
The state committee convened for more than 6 hours after hearing testimony from various stakeholders. No new policies were proposed. Some state law.
Yeah.
What was
you
that
notice how
word
they
at the
sit there
end
and-
that they said? I heard a word. It began with an S. Stakeholders?
Stakeholders.
No, state lawmakers. State lawmakers.
They
Stakeholders.
the stakeholders.
They
got
said
the,
stakeholders.
She did.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought
She said stakeholders. Yeah, I'll watch.
nothing. No new
Right
po-
here at the end here.
No new-
Stakeholders. No new policy.
Yeah.
No,
From various stakeholders. No new policy.
No new policies. Right after.
Yeah.
Offered.
Yeah. They met up for 6 hours after, and the stakeholders.
Said, "Fuck you. Keep it open." It's making money.
Privatized jails. Privatized jails. You know? Got to get that capital. But I like how there's two things that I wanted to outline from that. First one was that they were saying people dying from natural causes. Nobody dies. A very small amount of people die from natural causes.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that much. And another thing they were talking about was overcrowding. Now that's something that I had to deal with. Overcrowding is real. What they were doing, this is illegal, but they still do it. This is still a practice that they do today. We call them coffins. It's these like green boats that they'll put in the gyms or in the library classrooms when class is not going on, and they'll move the desks and everything, and you have to sleep in these little coffins, these little boats that they have, and that's where you'll stay for the night because they have no beds, they have no bunk, everything packed up. My unit A1 was supposed to hold like 1,800 people. We had like almost 3,000 people just stuffed in there.
That's how it was in Connecticut as well. Same thing. Super overcrowded. They took this beautiful multi-million-dollar gym that they built for the prison in the minimum and the medium security jail they were supposed to share it, but it ended up just being a giant fucking dorm with like 4,000 people in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And they just stack people on top of people, and you're not a people there. You, like you said, you're a number, and that's what you are to them. I mean, it is so inhumane, and like I outlined in the beginning, this has been going on for so long. The DOC in New York was created in 1897.
Yeah, and then like if you're in minimum security, which I never made it to, but you get to go outside and do like free labor. You work in the farm, you work in
Yeah. Work on a
you
farm.
picking up
Yep.
trash in the highway, stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah,
But
and a lot of the people that are on Rikers Island, what they do is they go to another island called Heart Island. And if
oh
you
yeah,
don't know about
Highland.
Heart Island, it's really gross. They are literally burying people on the island. There's more than 1 million people that have been buried on Heart Island, and the inmates, from what I saw, is that they make about 50 cents an hour to go over there, and it's one of the largest burial sites.
Yeah.
And they don't take care of the bodies properly.
It's all the transient people, anybody who can't be identified in the
if
city.
you can't be identified
that's where
or
you
your
go.
family does not pick up your remains, that's what happens in New York. Is that you go, if you are from the city, like your body will be brought to Heart Island, and inmates from Rikers Island will bury you.
Yeah.
And it's not exactly that you can't, the family can't pick up the remains, is that they have to pay a fee to pick up the remains.
Oh yeah.
And
I had to pay it was almost $2,000 when my dad died, and he died on the West Coast. So I had to have his remains flown here. And part of that was like just to have his cremated remains sent to me was like $150. You have to have like because it has to be labeled as cremated remains and everything like that.
And
it's crazy.
And also, you also want to know that people that go to Hot Island to work, those are minimum security people. You can't be trusted if you're in high. They call that minimum is you get a fence, medium and higher, you're behind the wall. So you got like when you go out to the yacht or if you go to the gym, you got a big wall surrounding you. And they'll have like sentries, guys with guns. If you try to jump the wall, you try to get to the wall, they'll shoot you, And like what that guy was speaking about the violence is real, I got stabbed twice. I got stabbed one time. I got my GED in Rikers. I used to go to the class twice a week. I skipped a lot of the schooling to just jump straight into the test, which happens like twice a year. And one time I was sitting down in class, and they were teaching us cross multiplication, and I felt something on my back track, and I got stabbed with a pencil. Me and my boy got into a fight. I didn't even know I was fully stabbed. I thought dude just ran into me. You don't feel it until after everything happens.
Yeah.
I got stabbed in my stomach I got stabbed with a because you got two different types of what they call shanks. We call them split splashes or trip nines. And you make metal ones that stay on the block because you got, when you go into movement, you go to the chow hall or whatever, you got to go through metal detectors. And then you got the plastic ones. Plastic ones are made from
what
like
am I supposed to do with that?
Razor handles or whatever you could get your hands on. Sometimes people will go to the gym and they'll work on the plexiglass windows in the bathroom, and they'll just keep with like a battery spike. They'll grab a battery, they'll put it on a door and close it so the back end of the battery pops out and a little spike comes out. And they'll use that. They'll sharpen the spike because the door handles on your cell doors, they're like graded a little bit, and you just keep for hours. You just keep shaping the middle of the battery spike till it gets sharp. And when you go to the gym, you go into the bathroom in the gym. They have like these windows that are plexiglass, and you just keep filing in one area until the glass breaks. You take out the piece of the break. It probably takes maybe a month or two working on that plexiglass, and you finally get through to it. You take that, you bring it into your cell, shopping it on the door handle. I got stabbed with one of those plexiglass things in my stomach, close to where I got ulcerative colitis, and my inflamed intestine, close to that one. And that was in a crazy fight that happened in the gym area.
Yeah, you should tell us about that.
It just happened. Well, what happened there was me and two of my friends, two of my homies, went to, because you don't go to the gym by yourself. You go with your people, because if something pops off, you got somebody to have your back. And they don't have free weights there. They have universal weights, which are these weights stuck on bars, and they have these metal wires that are attached to the handles. You use that to like work out and everything. It's not as good as free weights, but it's something, but it's like a protective measure, so people can't grab the free weights and hit you with them or something like that. Yep. And one of my boys had issues with, well, like I said, in New York, the issue with Bloods is with the GDs, with the folks. It's not really with the Crips. And there was a couple folks that was out there, and we were looking at them like, oh, fuck these dudes or whatever. But one of my boys had issues with one of their boys. They shot at each other in the streets. They had fights and everything. And I guess.
So that transferred into the jail?
Oh, yeah, always. That's how most of the beefs are. It's like when someone gets locked up, they're basically waiting for someone from the other side. And it won't always just pop off. Like, we could be in the same area, we'll look at them and be like, oh, keep your eye on them or whatever. But we won't really, like, sometimes it won't pop off, and sometimes it's murder drama, Sometimes it's anytime on site. Well, we didn't think.
Well, I'm sure that people just get to like almost bored or picking for that, you know what I mean, looking for that action. I'm sure there's agitators in there, and then the CEOs probably put people that they know are going to cause a drama between, between certain people on purpose, because they're using you guys as their entertainment, it seems like,
certainly at times.
It's ridiculous, because sometimes you'll think that, oh, you got drama with that person, but you won't think it's on site. So just be like, okay, just watch your back behind them. But then sometimes it's like these people, they feel it. They feel that animosity, and they see you and they amp themselves up. So they won't go at you straight when they see you. So you think everything's cool, and then they'll catch you. And that's kind of what happened to us. I was waiting my turn, and they saw us. We saw them. We were working out. I was using the wing. We were using to do the wings. I had my turn. I moved out. My boy went in, and the one that was doing it, he had issues with the spoke dude. And they saw us. We saw them. And then out of nowhere, like, maybe because you had like an hour at the gym, and then you got to go back to movement. Maybe like 45 minutes passed, possibly. And the dude came from behind me, stabbed me. I fell to the ground. Then they started fighting. I got up, and I tried to jump in on it. And then I just remember feeling like really dizzy. And then the COs came in. They ripped people off of each other, started putting cuffs on everybody. And then they brought me to the hole, and they were like, oh, this guy's stabbed up. He was bleeding. They left me in the hole for a while. And they were like, oh, we're going to get you to the infirmary. We're going to get you to the infirmary. I stayed in the hole for probably like 2-3 hours before they came and got me, brought me to the infirmary. I was feeling tired. I remember I was like just trying to tell myself to stay awake. And then when I finally made it to the infirmary, I just passed out. And then I woke up, and they said they had to give me 16 stitches. And yeah.
That's got to be quite the experience, especially to be sick and then to be injured and to be sitting there for hours.
Ouch.
Like, that has got to be something that weighs on you, just hours and hours. Oh my gosh, I can't. That would be just torture itself. And that's just one incident, that like one thing that you went through one time, like during that time period.
Oh yeah, I got some photos of me with my eye socket was broken. I got moved on. They hit me with the tray of the chow hole because like I said, when you're in your regular housing, you get movement, you go to the chow hole, you do all of that. But when you first get there, you're in classification, so you're in a block that doesn't get any movement. So you eat on the block, and they give you these big, thick plastic trays where they put the food on, and you sit down on tables in the block, and you eat your food. You got like 15 minutes to eat your food, and then you go about your shit. But while I was sitting there eating, this guy just came sideswiping and hit me with it. Boom, broke my orbital. Split my nose also right here. I didn't even get to fight. He hit me and I was down for the count.
Truck.
It was, there was this one dude, we got into a fight and he got stuck in between the table. And dude hit him. The way he fell broke his leg. Because he was still, like, his feet was underneath the table on the seats. But he was trying to stand up, and then the way he fell, it snapped his leg.
Damn, that would hurt like a motherfucker. Your femur.
How was it in the infirmary when you got stabbed that time? Like, how was the infirmary? Like, can you describe like what it looked like, what it felt like?
It's dirty. It's ridiculous. I passed out when I got stabbed, like really stabbed. I remember my time when I got stabbed with the pencil. I was awake for that whole thing. They brought me into the infirmary. You're like it's basically a cell. A cell with a bed. They put like these plastic casings over it. You sit on the bed, and you just wait there. And a nurse will come, take your blood pressure, take everything. They'll put a like little bandage, stop the bleeding, and then they'll leave, and you gotta wait till the registered nurse, the actual RN, is gonna come in and see you. They take forever. Like, you're just sitting in that room forever. No TV, no nothing. And then when they finally see you, if it's a serious issue that they can't handle, like when I got stabbed in the gym, they had to send me out to an actual hospital. But when I got stabbed with the pencil in class, they just took care of me there. They didn't give me no stitches or anything. They gave me these dressings. They said that they'll put me on Tylenol. You see, because the med lady will come to the block 3 times a day, and you get morning meds, afternoon meds, night meds, and they'll put you on like Tylenol or anything. They don't give you any real painkillers or anything like that. And then they'll ask you if you're in fear for your life. If you say yeah, they'll send you to PC. Everybody always says no, because PCs were like all the child rapists and snitches and everything like that. That's where they go. So
and PC is protective custody.
Yeah, PC stands for protective custody. It's just another block, but that block is away from general population. So you never have movement with general population. You have your own yard, your own gym, your own whatever, behind a fence. Like, people, if they go to the yacht and general pop goes to the yacht, we could see each other, but it's through a fence and we can't like touch each other. So yeah, the infirmary is whack. It's just another cell, but that's where all the nurses and shit like that. They have a doctor. They have like 2 or 3 doctors or whatever, but you never see them. They'll like something happens, they'll be like, okay, the nurses will be like, we're gonna get confirmation from the doctor or whatever, and you gotta wait hours for them to call, talk to the doctor, get an approval, have them send fax it in through writing, because the doctors never come to the jail. So I've never seen a doctor there. But on paper, their name is there, and it's like, oh, we're all under the supervision of this doctor, But they're really not. They're under the person that really runs the medical thing, or the COs. Because like if a nurse wants to give you something or they want to send you out to another hospital, they got to go through the COs and get go through the proper channels and get the okay and the blessings and the okay, we're going to send these people. And then you got to wait for the COs to get you got to wait for management to file for a CO to take you, to bring you out there. And then they got to call in transport, and transport will come from whatever. They'll put the chains on you and everything. They'll put you in a paddy, and then they'll send the paddy to whatever hospital. And then another CO is going to take his time, and he's going to be sitting there in the hospital the whole time. You get in, like, they bring you to an outside hospital. You get into a bed. They'll put one cuff on one wrist and cuff that to the bed, and you're stuck on that bed. But the hospital's chilling. When you actually go out, that's chilling. That's the best. Because they'll hook you up with whatever. You got TV right in front of you. You can watch like actual channels, not the less than basic channels they give you in prison. Or watch like TMC and shit like that. And they feed you good. You get real good. That's the good food, you know?
When you're at the hospital?
Oh yeah. Everybody's always talking, oh yo, bro. Like they'll be like, oh, I'm sick. And then they'll go to the infirmary and they'll come back to the block and they're like, yo, bro, they're gonna send me out to a real hospital. You know? Like they get super excited, but they won't tell you when you're leaving because they don't want you to call and let your people know you're leaving or whatever. So it's a big secret when you leave to a hospital. They don't tell you what hospital you're going to. They'll send you to different ones. Yeah, that's the vacation away from that bullshit is when you go to the hospital.
Well, I think it's amazing that you were faced with all of that you were able to get your GED.
Well, the whole thing about that was, I got played, but you do stuff when you're sentenced there, you get good time, and good time you can make like 5 to 10 days after a month. And it'll add up for a year. You could probably do like 10 months a year instead of 12. And but everything you got to do like a bunch of stuff. Like if you're working, you don't get a job if you're pre-trial, but you can get a job like working in the kitchen or whatever if you're sentenced there. And it'll be like there's a bunch of jobs like working in cleaning up the bubble or waxing the floors at night or just doing stuff like that. And you get every month, if you work for a whole month, you get 2.5 days taken from your sentence for good time. And every week they pay you like $1 a day, and you work 7 days a week. There's no days off, so you'll get like $7 a week. The biggest trouble that I've had was going out in public, going to first of all, if you got to understand, when I went in, the hottest phone was a BlackBerry Pearl. Like touch screen phones wasn't the thing.
I know now they have tablets in prison.
Yeah, they didn't have the newest thing that was coming out when I was in there was the MP3 player. And that was like a cash cow for them. Because when they finally came out, it was like $150 for the MP3 player. And then you'd have to connect it to a kiosk. And you can buy like 3 songs for $5.55. So
it's a money maker.
Yeah, it was a cash cow for them because they're paying like less than $1 for a song. And then when I went in there, I did my time, whatever. I come out in 2017. And I come out, the gas stations are talking to you. You got TVs in fucking grocery stores, and everybody's using touch phones. I remember they were talking about touch phones before I got locked up. And I was like, this isn't even gonna last. Those things don't even work. They barely register your touch. Now everything is touch phone. It took me, when I first got out, my homie came and picked me up. he bought me a phone before he dropped me off at my house. And it took me maybe like a good 15 minutes to write a sentence on the phone. I was just like, tap, tap, tap. But the hottest thing for me was going out to like a grocery store. There's like a whole bunch of people, and you're just like, you can't watch your back and keep your eye on everybody, and you start feeling anxious. You're thinking like someone's out there to get you, or they're staring at you all the time. You're looking at them like, yo, bro, like, what the fuck are you staring at? You know? And it's like, it's different politics. You got to take your mind out of that, where you're thinking, maybe these people aren't looking at me. Maybe they're not threatening me. You can't just go up to people and be like, what the fuck, and start a fight out there, you know? And
how you interact with everybody is completely different. Yeah, that's got to be a huge adjustment.
Yeah, you know, and then I'm not gonna lie, I was a little racist. I used to come out and chill with my boys or whatever, and then like one of the white boys will come out and just say what's up or whatever, and it's a friend of my friends, and I'm looking at it like, what the fuck is this white boy doing here? Like, bro, go to your people. What are you staring at? Why you here with us? You know? And like, it took me a while to be like, hey, wait a minute, I gotta open my mind up for a second. Like, not everybody is against you. Not everybody's the enemy. And
it's
gotta
a fucking
be hard to like almost like reprogram yourself.
Yeah, I would think it's setting about to be a more informed person, and not just make decisions based on things that you think are actually hard and fast rules that aren't really, you know what I mean? Like you adapt and you grow. You seem to have just fucking blossomed into a fucking fine fucking introspective person, dude.
Honestly, it was total time inside, and was it in Rikers? No, it wasn't all in Rikers. My total time was 7 years. 7 years and a few months. Basically a better part of the decade. And I did a year in Middleton in County Prison, Essex County Jail in Lawrence, not Lawrence, in Massachusetts. Then I got transferred to Rikers. I stayed in Rikers till about like 2013. From 2011, middle of 2011 to 2013. And then I went to Sing Sing State Prison after I got sentenced. That was basically classification of finding out what prison they're going to send you to. That's like, Sing Sing's like where everybody who gets sentenced to do prison time, they all go to Sing Sing. They stay there. They classify you based on your charge, how old you are, whether or not you have a GED. They give you a point-based system. And if you have like 10 points and higher, you get your like maximum security. You're going to a maximum jail. If you have like 5 points to 10 points, it's 11 points and higher, you go to a maximum. 5 to 10 points, you're medium. 4 and below, you're minimum. But if you're under the age of 30, under the age of 35, that's 2 points added to you. If you have a GED, they take away. If you have a violent offense, that's 4 points. If you got into trouble, if you got into fights while you were in county waiting, that's 4 points added to you. No, that's 3 points added to you. If you had a job working, because you can get sentenced to county time while you're still fighting a state prison charge. And if you do that, you can get a job. If you don't, and you're just fighting that one charge, like I had my charges were assault and battery with a deadly weapon, assault to murder, serious bodily injury, and malicious intent. And it was all just one charge. It was all on one case. So I was going straight to the state prison after my sentencing. And So if you weren't working, they add on points to you. At the end of it, I had 9 points. I went to medium security. It takes like 3 months for you to get classified. So I spent 3 months in Sing Sing, and then they classified me to go to Concord. I went to Concord medium. I got into a fight in Concord, and then they classified me from the whole to the max, and I went to Elmira. I was in Elmira for the rest of my time there. I spent, I think, 3 years in Elmira, so 2017. I came out in March 29th, 2017. No, March 28th, 2017. But I spent, I think, a year in the box because there was a situation. I was in the library. I was reading a book, minding my own business, but two of my friends got into a fight in the gym. And they were they put me in the whole AAPI, that's awaiting action pending investigation. And that means you're in the hole indefinitely until their investigation's over. And their investigation they don't have a time limit to investigate. So they were trying to say that I sent out a hit for them to jump somebody in the gym, which made no sense because I was nowhere around. I wasn't even with them the whole day, you know. But they went to the hole, did their time, got out the hole. I was still in the hole. I sat there for a year stuck in the hole until finally they finished their investigation and they just let me out like nothing happened. They found me innocent of it and I just got out the hole. They brought me
and
back.
That's it. Like there's no there's no repercussion. Like, oh whoops. You don't get you don't get benefit of the doubt. You're just considered guilty unless we decide you're not.
Yeah, I had a job in the kitchen. I was doing my little thing because I used to steal a lot of sugar from the kitchen. You get like the creamer bags or whatever. You bring it to the kitchen. You fill them up with sugar, and then like you get cool with the COs from the kitchen, and they won't really pat you down like that. So you just put them in your pants or whatever, and then you just walk back to your block and you'll sell the sugar to the people that are making homebrew because they need as much sugar as they can get. And,
who don't need some sugar?
Yeah,
everybody needs sugar.
The homebrew thing, they used to call it an epidemic. So they would limit how much sugar you can order. You can order like 2 bags from commissary. So the only way you're getting enough sugar to make homebrew is from the kitchen workers. Same thing with oranges to make the germ. Same thing with ketchup or tomato paste. Some, depending on what jail you're at, some of them have tomato paste, some of them just have ketchup. You may do with what you got, you know.
What was your favorite things to cook and stuff there? Like,
we used to make this thing called a mofongo. You make like the regular meal, rice, soups. You'll smash the soups up, and so that it's like not stringy, you know. And you mix it in with like the chili. They'll give you the spicy chili or regular chili. It's like a package. And you mix that, you grab like a trash bag and you throw in the rice. It's instant pre-cooked rice. You throw in the soups. You buy like beef jerky. You'll chop up the beef jerky, throw that into the bag. You'll grab like they give you pouch chicken. You dry out the chicken, let all the water out of the pouch, throw the chicken in the bag with the rice. Then you grab hot water, you put it inside the bag, and then you wrap the bag up so it's like a air ball. And that hot water like steam cooks the rice and the soups and everything, and they blow up in there. and then you grab potato chips. We used to have these potato chips called the whole shebang, and it's basically like every flavor in one. And it's like really strong with like the vinegar flavor and stuff. And you'll grab those, you buy a bunch of chip bags, you throw all the chips into one bag, you crush them up, and then you add a little bit of water, and you'll like make it into like a dough, kind of like a dough, whatever, and you flatten it out completely. You grab the big trash bags and lay them down on you take off your bed, you lay it onto the metal bunk, and you make a long line of it, of the dough, and you flatten it so that it's basically like a long rectangle. And when the rice and everything's finished cooking, or you put like mackerel, you put like tuna Thai, which is like spicy tuna, like an Asian spicy tuna. It's pretty good. Or regular tuna if you want. You just add whatever you want to it, and then you drip all the food in the middle of the dough, and then you wrap the dough over, and you close it, and you put it onto your tray, and then you just eat it like a sandwich. A little thing we used to call mopongos. Pretty good.
Oh my gosh.
Potato chip dough is brought to you in part by Frito-Lay.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Well, Moon Lodge is what made the whole shebang. I used to love those chips.
That's
So Aggravated Progressive said he wants to learn how to make good homebrew.
Oh,
yeah.
that was my moneymaker for like a year and a half. We used to make some really good homebrew, right?
So you should tell us you should tell us a recipe.
All right, so this is the first thing you want to do is you want to get your hands on apples, no peaches, oranges, what else you get in there? That's basically all the fruit you really
should
get.
definitely call
really
it Applejack's meat juice recipe.
So you grab that and you squish them all together into a trash bag, and you toss a little bit of sugar on it. You grab a trash bag, grind up the fruits together, put it inside the trash bag, throw a little bit of water, like hot water, into it, and a fuckload of sugar, and you wrap it up like how you were making the food. You let it like steam dry or whatever, but it would blow up with the gases, so you'd have to burp it like for 3 days, and then that the fruits will turn into a germ. And once it's a germ, you grab like you order like the orange sugar powder for orange juice, or Georgia peach, or whatever fruit punch, whichever powder you want. You throw like I'll say maybe 6 bags worth. You throw all of that in there. You toss in tomato paste or ketchup, some bread for the yeast, which you all get from the kitchen. You toss in like maybe 6, not even, probably like 10 bags of full bags of sugar, and you put like, you grab what we used to put them in was the 20-ounce soda bottle. So you'll fill like maybe 10 to 13 of those bottles full of water, and you dump all that water into the trash bag, and then you wrap it up, and you hide it under your bunk, or put it into there's a way that you sit onto the toilet and you stand up, and it'll make the water drip down so that there's no water inside the toilet bowl, and you put the bag inside the toilet, and it'll be filled up with gases. You burp it, close it again, burp it, close it again. Every 30 minutes you want to check on it, make sure that the bag doesn't blow up. So you burp it, but you got to make sure that there's no cops doing rounds, because when you burp it, it's gonna stink, like stink.
That's your mash right there. Yeah.
Yeah, and then in 3 days of you constantly burping it and everything,
wait, you do every 20 minutes?
Yeah.
For 3 days?
They're speeding up the process with all of that sugar.
How do you sleep?
That's awesome.
I mean, you get like if you're gonna pass out, you'll leave the bag open. But the whole problem about that is that it smells. So you're only sleeping for a few hours, and then you gotta close the bag and make sure you're checking on it.
Make sure you burp in the toilet correctly as well.
Yep. After all of that, your homebrew will be done. You filter. You grab like the pillowcase. You grab a pillowcase and you throw drip the bag with the germ into the pillowcase, and it'll filter out the water from all the little things from the germ.
That's your filtration device.
And you put them all into the 20-ounce soda bottle. You sell them for a book of stamps, and then every time you use that germ, it gets stronger and stronger.
Yeah.
And then it'll go from 3 days to 2 days, 2 days to a 24-hour germ. And then that same one germ that you use, you only have to do that process in 1 day, and you're done.
Right, because you're letting the yeast fucking grow while it's waiting to use it again. That's fucking brilliant. Hell
it's so that's
and that's how you make beet water, Bruno. It's delicious.
Yeah, well, they call it. Some people call it toilet bowl wine, and it's because you put it into the toilet, but you're not using none of the water from the toilet. It's not like the
it's just not the toilet is just implied.
The bag is touching the toilet, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a huge hustle. And then out of nowhere, once you got a 24-hour germ, you're making you can make like 20 bottles a day, and then you're selling each bottle for a book of stamps, which is $5. You know,
that's killer.
That's a come up.
The only thing I could like better is if when you say the word germ, you say joim, like we're in a 20s movie or something. That would be fantastic.
But the thing about that is it's a lot worse. It kind of tastes like Mad Dog, like a different depending on what flavor you put on, but it tastes like Mad Dog 2020.
Right. And because that's what it is. It's sugar wine. You're making super, super strong sugar fucking wine. If you're diabetic, you're gonna die if you drink it.
I mean, geez, it's a miracle you made it out of there alive with the food and the way you cook things and plastic bags. And I mean, like, oh my gosh, you're like literally living on a trash heap, you know?
Yeah, the jail is built on the trash heap. That's just fucking insane. It's so crazy.
The whole thing about it is it's a lot. It's really strong. One bottle will get you like, whoa, I'm drunk.
Yeah. Yeah.
People get so addicted to it that they're drinking. They won't buy one bottle. They'll buy like 5, 6, 7 bottles, and they'll get retarded. There's a new show coming on, Lucifer. That show was first coming out. Everybody, every time at 9 o'clock, you got to turn on to watch Lucifer every Monday. They had the show on Blacklist. Once that came in, you buy your bottles every Tuesday night, turn on the Blacklist, get drunk. And it was so bad to the point that like it's worse than regular alcohol, because I've grown up with a whole bunch of my homies always drinking liquor all the time. I get locked up and there was mad cases of people getting cirrhosis of the liver. My homie Peanut died from it. And it because it was like that bad, like it was really bad. But you know, people were going hard on it. They love that shit.
Yeah,
you know, and
it has a lot to do with that. It has a lot to do with the sugar content in it, like because it's so fucking jacked on sugar. If you let it, if you took that 1 or 2 day process and made it take 4 or 5 days, it would taste like way better, and it'd be like fucking 5 times as strong. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing. It's like you're turning it over so fast that
you're getting high on the sugar too.
High as fuck on the sugar. Your liver can't process that. It's like people who are tweakers who do crank. You can't process the drug.
But you also gotta watch it.
Peeing it out.
When you're burping it, you also gotta watch it, because if the gases ain't really flowing up like that, like you burp it in 30 minutes and it's not the bag isn't about to burst. You're like, okay, you're not getting that much gas. You got to add more sugar to it. Add more sugar to it. You got to burn the sugar. That's what you got to do. Once you burn the sugar, you get fucked up. It was, and you'd think it would be nasty because you're adding ketchup into that shit. You're throwing bread into that shit. Like, you'd think that it's nasty, but it's not. It tastes just like Mad Dog.
It's
People
just crazy.
People were getting fucked up for that. There was that, and then like you was talking how the whole jail is on a landfill, but you're not really smelling all of that trash. It stinks when you're first coming in, but on the block, all you smell is like weed, cigarette smoke, people cooking, coffee. Everybody drinks coffee. Like, people drink like 6-7 cups of coffee a day. And you wake up in the morning, get a cup of coffee. You're gonna play some spades, get a cup of coffee. You're gonna play risk with a bunch of your buddies, get a cup of coffee. You know what I mean? It's late at night and you're getting ready to go to sleep, get a cup of coffee.
You got your little green cup.
Yup, your little green cup. That's how
That's
it
what
was.
you said at the beginning. You have to have your cup, or else you're not having nothing.
Yep.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
when they I was working in the kitchen. That was a nice hustle. That was a nice hustle, bringing in shit and making money off of people. But then I got put down into the hole on AAPI and I lost my job. So after I was fine, after I was cleared of all the charges that were put in on me, they'll send you back to the block. But I don't have my job no more. They don't reinstate my job. So I have to wait and apply and try and get another job or whatever. Which pretty much sucked. And talking about the smell of weed, the way the block smelled like weed, but the way they'll try to get the smell out of the cell, so that, like, if a cop's doing a round and he walks into the cell, he'll be like, okay, this cell smells. Whoever runs the cell, they get a 24-hour lockdown. And that means whoever that cell belongs to is stuck inside their cell, locked in. Whenever the doors pop for to be on the block or whatever, or whenever the doors pop for movement, their door isn't popping. They're stuck in the cell for 24 hours. They can't shower, they can't do none of that. So what they will do is either they'll buy the baby powder and try to fluff baby powder everywhere, or what?
Oh yeah, that's even better for them. You're breathing that in. That causes cancer.
I know, right?
John to Emily, hello.
Talcum powder and shit. But it's either that or we would order magazines, and the little cologne patches that come in the magazines. We'll take those out and we'll take a razor and cut them into little bits, and we'll steal like a spray from the cleaning closet, and we'll throw all of those bits in there with water and just start spraying it. And that was the cologne. We call it the smell.
Oh my
good.
God.
Yeah, we used to do stuff like that. And then I couldn't get a job, so I had to get a hustle after I got out the hole. So I was working with a lot of the tattoo artists. I was making their ink and doing a lot of the stenciling, which is pretty cool. Making the ink is pretty fire too. Well, what I used to do, you'd buy like a Bergamot hair grease, and it would come in a little tube, and you grab headphones, because if you order a TV and shit, they take out the speakers. So you have to order headphones. But we would take the headphones and we'll split it and take out the coil from the headphones, and they'll use that coil to make makeshift speakers. But then the rest of the coil they'll just sell off to tattoo artists and stuff. And we'll take the coil and we'll put it line it onto the top of the Bergamot hair grease with the top off, and we'll take some of the grease and swift it onto the coil, and then we'll buy a manila envelope, one of those big ones, and we'll light the coil on fire, so that it's burning up the grease, and you put the manila envelope over the flame, and all of that soot would get stuck up on the inside of the manila envelope, and then you scrape some of the soot out, put it into like a 20-ounce bottle cap, and you mix it with a little bit of water and a little bit of shampoo. Boom, you got that's all my tattoo ink is like that. All of
You
my
see
tattoos,
that?
all yeah. I'm tatted up from jail. I'm tatted up
Dude,
from jail.
that's
My whole chest is
Little
done. I
said-
got 2 sleeves, my back, my ribs.
he's
Yeah,
he's a walking tattoo guy.
I've
Look,
tattooed a
yeah.
guy's balls.
yeah,
Little
you
says
told me
if,
about that.
Little says if Lucky went to prison, the whole yard would be walking around with fuzzy hats with ears in no time. That's
Nah,
probably
I know
actually-
Martha Stewart, move over. Remember when she went to prison for insider trading?
Yeah.
And then she came out like she had taught all the ladies how to crochet. And there was like this poncho that was like the best freaking crocheted poncho. And it was like the hit. Like everybody wanted the pattern for this poncho. I had the pattern for it. I
Yeah.
never made the poncho,
Drug rug.
but it was a thing. It was a Martha Stewart poncho like this. That she came out of prison with, and everybody went nuts for this poncho. It's so weird.
It's weird how people idolize like certain personalities and celebrities, and like I don't know. I don't understand how that's even. How is Snoop Dogg still looked at like he's a fucking legitimate fucking OG dude? He's so not. You know what I mean?
killed
Oh my
somebody.
God.
He's like bought and paid for. He
killed
was approached
somebody.
in the 80s to fucking, you know what I mean? Like all of those guys, Ice-T, all of these dudes that are supposed to be OG as fuck have completely sold out and are shit lips. Like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? You work
Yeah.
for the surveillance state now.
He works for
But
like Ring.
You're OG.
He does commercials
Shout
for
out.
Ring.
Okay.
Snoop Dogg.
Shout out
That's-
Ice Cube. Shout out Ice Cube for speaking up against this shit.
It's fucking crazy,
Yeah.
dude. It's so much crazy going on. Like as far as which, you know, there's very, very few people in the like the hip hop, like gangster rap thing from the 90s that are actually legit people that weren't co-opted. They were offered all kinds of money and stuff, like fucking crazy things, crazy deals that we're hearing about now, fucking, you know, 30
So-
years later.
Is all that ink from jail?
Yeah, all of it.
7 years, you can get a lot of ink on you.
Yeah.
Hell
I got
yeah.
my
I
back
know.
done,
You
I
would think
got
Steve
2
would be
sleeves.
covered.
Yeah, you would think I'd be covered, but I wasn't. I wasn't getting no tats from anybody in jail
I'm
because
talking about now.
they were a bunch of goons. Yeah, why aren't I fucking bleeding right now? What is wrong with you? You're missing your whole. I got canvas for days, baby.
I know. I
Yeah,
need to
but the
work on
whole
my
thing-
own. I need
the
to work
whole
on my
thing
own
about-
tattoos.
The whole thing about tattoos is that it was a good moneymaker, and it was cheap. You can pay like $100 and get a whole sleeve done. But I was lucky enough because I had my homies, and my homies did tattoos, so I just got tattoos for free. I was hooked up.
Mhm.
Yeah, we used to do a lot of stuff in there. A lot of stuff. You learn a lot out there. There was dudes that were making cards to send back to your family, and they'll be like pop-up cards. They'll grab like paper and construction paper.
I got a dream catcher sent to
they do
me.
dream catches,
Yep.
necklaces.
And the dream
Um,
catcher, he said that the way that they made it is like I mean, because it was like pink and blue, I think, and like they dyed, like I think it was like the pillowcase fabric and stuff like that, and they like dyed all the individual strands, and like it had like their
Beautifully
like
done.
things, and it was like elaborate. It was really elaborate. Skyla
there
got
was,
something. She got a drawing from there that looked like it looks like one of the guys that would be in the mall that does like with a spray paint shirt that does like the cool design on it.
Yeah.
I think
There
it was
a
like
lot
a
of people that-
frog or something.
That's how I got my goddaughter's face on me. I got my goddaughter's tattooed on me. That was from one of the artists drew my goddaughter's face, and then one of the tattoo artists just started stenciling it and then tatted it on my
Nice.
rib. And it
Wow.
the rib was the worst. That's of all my tattoos. Like a lot of them didn't even hurt. My back didn't hurt. My arms didn't hurt. My chest somewhat hurt, but not really.
I fall asleep when I get tattooed. I fall asleep. It's very relaxing.
The
Except
rib felt like I got shot again.
Right there. That felt like the worst ever. That's where all your nerve endings are. Is on your left wrist right there. Yeah, that's the spot.
My rib, that was like, it burned. It didn't even hurt. It burned. I thought I got shot again. I wanted to punch this guy.
I did that to myself. So I did that to myself.
I've never tattooed before.
Don't trust a tattoo artist unless they've tattooed themselves.
Well, the only tattoo artists that I let, like in jail, that I let touch me were people that had already done a bunch of other people, and I seen their work, and I knew they were pretty good at it. You know, and the tattoo guns were funny too. We used to steal motors from like the CBR, the VCRs in the classrooms and shit, or the pencil sharpener motors, and we'll wrap that on with, and we'll fuse coil from the headphones, and we'll fuse the handle of a razor blade to hold on to, and we'll take batteries and we'll put the coil from the motor to the batteries, start up the motor, and we'll grab like, because the lifers, they used to get instruments in like guitars and stuff, and we would buy the guitar strings to use the needles, and that's how we tap people up. Pretty cool.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. It was pretty wild.
I mean, think about the innovation. Like you guys, in jail, you give people little resources, and that's where the innovation comes from.
Absolutely.
That's where
necessity
brings that. You know,
Stop playing. We used to make if we were gonna smoke, say if it was cigarette or weed or whatever, what we used to do is we would make a wick with the toilet paper. We roll it up, and then in the tip of it, we'd spread it out like a flower, and then we would grab 3 pieces of lead from a pencil. We'll put 2 pieces of the lead into an electrical socket, and then we'll grab another piece of toilet paper and wrap it around the 3rd piece of lead, and we'll make that 3rd piece of lead touch the 2 other pieces, and it'll spark. And then the spark will hit the little wick, the flower part of the wick, and it'll catch fire. And then because it's rolled up tightly like a wick, it'll burn slowly. So you just leave the wick next to the vent, and then when you roll up your joint, whatever, you spark it off of the wick, and you just leave the wick burning just in case the joint shuts off again. And then you smoke that whole shit, and then you toss the wick in the toilet, and you're all set.
That's awesome. So I'm saying, people fucking some ingenious motherfuckers, man.
Yeah.
And if you're in a jail that didn't have plugins or whatever, electrical sockets, you'd grab a battery and some razors, and you put the battery, like one negative, one positive, and you put it onto like the metal seat, so you have some grounding. And then you put the razor blades on the tops of each side, the ones on the bottom, ones on the top, and you put them together, and it'll spark up. And you just put the joint right in the middle, and it'll light up. Oh yeah.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah. People were making lighters, these out of pencils, that would have these coils sticking out, and it would have 2 razor blades to click into the electrical socket. And you take the little coil and you put it to the tip of the pencil, and it would spark up. And then you use that. But I didn't know how to make that. But yeah, they used to make lighters.
So that's like a temporary stinger, basically. We used to have stingers. That's how everybody had hot water in the old prison. There wasn't no fucking hot water for everybody. So you had stingers. Yeah. Like literally, people would just have hunks of metal with fucking 2 wires on it, plug it in.
Yeah, it was because of the stingers that they started letting us have hot pots. And then like at the end of my time there, they started shaking everybody down and taking everybody's hot pot, and that's when they added the microwaves and the little heating spouts, the hot water spouts, but they sucked. They didn't really get that hot. So you just basically put the water in a cup and then put it into the microwave and heat it up that way. But it's not as good as the hot pot. Plus, the hot pots were so cool because we used to make dough. We would take, because in your cell, you got a little desk, and the little desk would have a seat. It's like one of those circle metal seats. And you deconstruct the hot pot, and you take out the heating element and put it on the bottom of the chair, and you turn it on, and it heats up the metal part of the chair, and then you put the dough on there, and you make little pizza.
Oh my god!
You make little pizzas, cut that shit up.
That's awesome. Speaking of awesome, it's Rob Juno's 64th birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday, Rob.
Happy early birthday, Rob.
Yes.
Early birthday. Hell yeah.
That's awesome.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
That's very, very cool.
Happy birthday, Rob.
Many, many more returns, sir.
Peaches just got all excited. If you could see him right now, he's like dancing for you, Rob. He's all like,
Oh, Rob Juno's birthday. Oh my God. Nobody told me.
I know. He's dancing all over the top of his thing. Oh my gosh. We're like, I think $25 away on Cash App from being able to get Peaches his new stand.
Oh my God. I have to show you like this other idea for a stand that was really, really cool. And like something we could make.
Okay.
Okay. Say happy birthday, Rob.
That is Peaches saying happy birthday.
Apple.
Oh, and AppleJack, yes.
Apple?
Yeah.
Why can't you say apple? Why can't you say apple? Say apple. He just looks at me. while this one is just cleaning himself.
He's like, what?
Hey, settle down.
Say apple.
Settle down.
Does he say anything for you?
Nah. He barks. This is my little Christmas tree we got up. This is my first time having a Christmas tree.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah, I never really did Christmas in New York, but Brooke wanted to do Christmas tree.
Yeah, we don't do it anymore, but that's awesome.
All right.
Peaches.
Crazy bird.
Oh, he's going crazy.
Okay, you're gonna have to go away. You're gonna keep doing that.
Are you ready to go night-night?
You ready to go night-night? All right. Well, he's doing like a thing where he looks like he's gonna fly at us, but he's just holding on with his feet, but he's flapping his wings like I'm gonna jump. I'm not gonna
like jump scaring us.
Jump
like
scaring us and then going ah!
Go.
Yeah.
Go.
Peaches, relax.
You
Maybe he wants some celery.
Oh yeah, it's the loudest, most annoying sound a bird can make.
Bro, you're in my personal bubble.
Oh. Huh?
We always like AB.
Yeah.
But yeah, prison was an experience. It was kind of crazy. Prison was crazier than jail, but jail was gladiator school. I'm not gonna front. Like, I got into a few fights in jail. It kind of toughens you up. But prison is where I got stabbed at. Like, that was where the real fight happened. That was where my man Peanut RIP stabbed the CO was in prison.
So what would you like to leave people with? Like, what advice or or piece of anything would you like to leave people with about Rikers Island? They're supposed to be closing it.
Avoid it. I've been hearing them stories since I first got there. They've been talking about that forever. That place, I'll believe it when I see it. That place ain't never gonna close. They said they were closing Gitmo, and look at it, still running. You know, I don't believe none of that. If you can avoid Rikers, avoid it. Don't go to New York, especially if you want to have a gun. Nah, but seriously, I just want people to understand that I understand that some people make mistakes in life and they get locked up, but we can't forget about the torture that people are really going through there. You know, like a Julian Assange and Bell March. You know, it really is torture. They're really putting people through hell. COs will be all up in your business for no reason. And they know that they're the biggest, strongest gang in there that don't get in trouble for doing what they're doing. So they'll act as boldly as they want. They won't act like your friend. There's some outliers, but they just want to get paid. That's it. You know? So if you're not making moves in there, you're not nobody. So the best thing that I can say about jail is just if you have loved ones in there, or even if you're just hearing about people in there and you want to support them, do it because they need it. It gives you it does some type of psychological damage to you in there, and it takes a piece of you while you're there. It's not punishment as they're saying. It's a school. It's a criminal school ground.
Yeah.
And it turns people
college.
that aren't criminals into, you know, honestly, like you guys say that I've turned into something else. That's what I am now compared to what I was then, was from my hatred of politics and reading a crap. I never read a book in my life until I went to jail. And then I really got into reading, especially when I was in the box, and I realized that that's what I needed to do. And it got me through a lot of shit. And then I started reading articles and learning about politics and getting mad at my government. And that's who I am now. And it stopped me from being in the streets. But
yeah, man.
But honestly, like, my main thing is just don't forget about the people that are locked in there. You know, just don't forget about them.
Hell yeah. Right on.
Yeah, I think you set a good example, and you show people that given the opportunity, people will do things and maintain things to do better for themselves if they're given the chance.
Yeah.
People need to be given a second chance.
Growth and evolution is possible for everyone. Like, even in the smallest ways, like, you can continue to evolve every day if you make a point to intend to, you know? And even if you fail, at least you intended to, you know? Fucking can't fault you for trying. And thank you for being so candid and honest with us, Seb. We fucking love you, dog. And
definitely,
awesome.
and I love you guys and the congregation as well. And I do want to also state that if you think the person that you've met right now is a decent person, just remember that I came from the lowest poverty, where the only idea you have with your boys is literally shooting at people, and going through hell. And if I can make a change, then that means everybody else can make a change. And the whole thing about it is people aren't just criminals and killers and murderers, and they don't just look at things. They're products of this society. And if you take them out of that society, they can grow too. You know?
Yep.
And
that's true.
And that's the whole thing, is these politicians and these this capitalism doesn't want people to grow. They want people to stay in this. They use this veneer of, criminals and crime, but they put us in a situation. They make us think like that. They make it so that, we can't reach high levels at jobs, or we can't get good paying jobs, or we can't better ourselves in our society, in our lives. You know, they'll give some of us some of that and be like, use that person as an excuse. Oh, look, that person did it, but you're not doing it for the mass population of people that are stuck in these lives. You know?
Yeah. And I'm grateful for this community that we have. You know, we really appreciate everybody in this community. Peaches.
Wow. He wants to be part of the conversation.
I know
Yeah.
he does. He does. And I think he just ate all of his celery and he's mad that he doesn't have more. Papa gave you some.
Yeah, you had a bunch. All right, just relax yourself, Burb. Show's almost over. All right.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Please hit that like button. Share this out. I think that Applejack's story is something that people should hear and they should understand, because I think that putting yourself in his perspective and his shoes and seeing, you know, what you can take from, you know, a situation that you're, you know, that could have turned out completely on its head, completely the opposite. Oh my gosh, Bird, okay. He's like flapping his wings at me. You know, like, but you've taken all that, what could have been, you know, more life on the streets, more choices of doing the same, and like letting that take over you. You decided to make a difference and to do something different. And that takes like a lot of strength and a lot of courage. And, you know,
Word.
I'm so glad to have you part of this family.
Definitely,
really,
definitely. Free Assange.
Free Assange. Fuck yeah. Much love, all you Burtonians. We love yous. And thanks again, Applejack.
Definitely. Bye, everybody. I'm out of here.
All right.
Happy birthday, Rob.
Happy birthday, Rob Juno. We love you.
Good night.